Hi, I'm late this week with my 9/11 story, but here I am. I'm in this room that I have just spent weeks painting, and so I thought I would sit here and tell the story. So this week I thought I would talk about community, since this is really the reason why I started telling these stories in the first place. So after Aaron died, obviously I had tons of people in the house, but eventually they all left, and I felt very adrift, I guess is the best way of explaining what it was like. And I was very aware, obviously, that there were other widows out there. There were a lot of us. And in fact, there was a little girl, Olivia's age, in the same school, whose father had also been in the building. So I eventually found out where she lived, and it turned out they lived just around the corner from where we lived. So eventually we met, and it was just such a lesson in how different people grieve, basically. So, where I was sort of so focused on keeping the kids in a routine, and just, I just clung to routine, like that was my lifeline. Um, and this woman was kind of doing the opposite. She eventually, like within weeks, she had two kids. So her youngest was 6 and her older one was 9, I think. And she wound up buying them each a dog, like a puppy. And so I would talk to her, and she would just be like insane trying to deal with these puppies. And her kids didn't want to go to school, so they were never in school. And she'd call me up in a panic, and say like her daughter was like cartwheeling all over the house and she couldn't get her to stop. Um, and it was almost just, if I went over there a few times, and it was almost unnerving. Like it was just, I would pick up on her frenetic energy, and yet she did some things so well as well. Like she was sending out beautiful thank you cards to all these people who, were starting to donate, which was a really strange thing. I just had this mitt full of checks that people, neighbors and stuff, were giving me, and I didn't know what to do with them. Um, and she was also the one that was completely up on sort of where all the money, like she would tell me, like, you have to go to the family center this week because the Buddhists are giving out a reward, or whatever it was called. I can't remember what the terminology was. But you have to go. It's like, and I'd be all in this panic, like, so conflicted, like, oh, I better go get this reward. Like it was a prize, but at the same time, like feeling really guilty, like, why did I need that? Like, surely there are people more deserving than me. I could not wrap my head around it. So she had ultimately moved away fairly quickly, like probably within the first year. And that was sort of a sad loss, because, it was nice to be able to just call her up and, walk over there and connect. But at the same time, it was always sort of a bit loaded, because I just never felt like completely calm. So eventually my therapist kind of connected a lot of us together, kind of at my request, because I was really desperate to meet some other widows. I just felt like I needed some sort of community. After last week, obviously it wasn't in a church. Um, and I certainly had neighbors that were rallying around me, like in such an incredible way, just sort of inviting us out for dinners, and taking the kids, and, showing up at 10 o'clock with, gelato, and, making sure I laughed, and all of that. They were just incredible. But I really just felt like I needed other widows, like I really wanted to compare notes, kind of thing. I had this one incident where I decided one day I was going to go out and mow the lawn, because I was feeling strong. And of course, Aaron, my husband, had bought, everything he bought was, overly powerful. is sort of not built for the female form whatsoever. So I tried to start this stupid thing and I couldn't start it. And then I pulled it at one point and there was a screw sticking out and I ripped the skin on the back of my knuckles. And I was so mad, I kicked the thing and it fell over and I hurt my toe. It was just like crumpled on the ground in tears, just like going, where are you? Like, I hate you so much. I can't believe you've left me. Where's my old life? And it was sort of in that moment where I was really frightened, actually, that I was going to become one of those angry, bitter widows, that, and I really made a conscious effort, like, no, I'm not going to be an angry, bitter widow, because that's just going to take so much energy. And I just didn't feel, with 2 small kids, raising them on my own, that I had that level of energy. Like, I just had to be able to go with the flow in a way, which I think people comment, if they watch my YouTube videos, they know that I'm pretty calm, generally speaking, although this week will show that I was not very calm about a certain incident, about a certain chandelier. So anyhow, I just really wanted community. So eventually, as I say, my therapist put together a group of us who had all lost somebody in the tower. And we sort of got together, sat around, and it was the most awkward kind of get together where where I had hoped that we were going to be talking about how much we missed our person. We ended up just talking about logistics. Did you get this reward? Did you go and, did you go to the family center? Did you, it was all these weird logistics. And I came away just so disappointed, because I really wanted a friend. I really wanted a group of friends. Eventually, years later, in I think 2009, is when I first went to San Diego and participated in Camp Widow, which I highly recommend, particularly if you're a new widow. It's a conference for widowed people, and in 2009 it was the very first year, and by then I had published my book and I was blogging in the days when we blogged, and I was contacted by Michelle Neff Hernandez, who organized and continues to organize Camp Widow, and asked if I would come. And it was just an extraordinary experience. And I continued going to Camp Widow for the next 10 years. I eventually, bought this place in France, and so it's a little less easy now, but that was really where I first found the community that I'd been seeking early on. So it really does make a difference. And I think in those early days, I recognized how important community is in terms of healing from grief, and particularly a community that has undergone, various trauma. People who get it, and it really makes a big difference. Anyhow, that's kind of what I have the energy for today. I have just been I've been working like 6-8 hour days just trying to get this thing done, because I just want it done. And now here it is. It's looking really pretty. So I'm really pleased with it, and I'm just thrilled. Okay, à bientôt.